Welcome to the Arcfluence Podcast, where we talk about how design impacts the way we live, work, and invest. I'm Nick Carrican, your host, and with me today is my business partner and co-host, Paul Fatkins. Hey, Paul.
With you and not with you. You are remote today.
Usually we record together, and I can't get your. So tell me, what's the weather like, Paul? I don't know. I need to know from you.
You're not that far away. You're in Pennsylvania today, so I'm sure it's snowy and cold there, just like it's snowy and cold in Ohio.
Do you have snow on the ground right now?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, okay. Because there's snow on the ground here, and it's cold.
Yeah.
And when I left Columbus, it didn't have snow on the ground.
Do they get a lot of lake effect there too, right? A lot more than here.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All right. Well, then you'll have to get back here and get out of that more snowy environment. So, anyway.
Well, we do have an exciting show today. I actually had a lot of fun talking to John. We are having a special guest today, John Kelley. He's fourth generation from the White Castle Corporation. Like, for me, I grew up with this, right? Yeah. It's a Midwest staple. Although they didn't start in the Midwest, they're headquartered here in Columbus, Ohio, and it's kind of part of American culture at this point. They've been around for 80 plus years.
Yep. They recently completed a brand new headquarters here in Columbus. And yeah, they're doing a lot of cool and interesting stuff and looking, towards the future and innovation and doing a lot of different things. And they're not afraid to try new things. So
it's a fun conversation for everybody, but we also get to explore a little bit into lead certification, which is fun for us as designers. Let's just get into it. John, welcome to the show.
Thanks. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, we're really excited about this interview. Gosh, I'm in my mid 40s. I heard the name White Castle growing up as a Midwest kid. But you guys are not just in restaurants. You guys sell frozen all over the country. And tell us a little bit about the history of and how you fit into this large American staple.
So we actually started in Wichita, Kansas. It was my great-grandfather who was in real estate and insurance. He became a business partner with another guy who had a couple restaurants. So that first restaurant they opened up together was called White Castle, patterned after the Chicago Water Tower, which apparently was the only thing left standing after the great fire of Chicago.
Oh, wow.
So they started doing that, expanded a little bit out there in the early 20s. And then by 1933, we had expanded into most of what we would call our core markets right now. So we had expanded east over into New York and New Jersey. So by that point, we were in Michigan, Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Illinois, Missouri. And Billy decided, at that point, the two partners parted ways. The other guy actually he went to work in aviation in Wichita, Kansas, which I think it was Boeing that started out there. So wow. Billy decided he wanted to be more centrally located. And we had gotten very vertically integrated because we were making our own paper hats. He had bought some companies up in Wisconsin.
I remember those. Yeah.
Those paper hats. Yeah. Every once in a while somebody has them now. We'll do some for special events or other things like that. But he found, the rumor was, because he died before I was born, Billy, that he really liked Big Ten football. So I guess we could have ended up in a couple of cities over here, but we ended up in Columbus at our old building here, which was at 555 West Goodale. And that allowed him to have a more centrally located headquarters for our restaurants. And also there was space. Our old building was a converted tire plant that gave him the opportunity, because at that point we were making our own restaurant equipment and the exteriors. We were making all of our own porcelain for our old restaurants at the time. And then also bring the paper linen company in from Wisconsin, kind of in one central headquarters in the central part of our old basic operating area throughout the United States.
That's wild. Yeah. I love that.
We've talked about it before on the show, how Ohio, Columbus in general, within like a 1 day's drive, you can reach a quite a large percentage of the population.
60+% of the United States. Yeah.
So we've talked about it from a real estate investment side of things, like here in Columbus, how it just makes sense. And obviously there's quite a few companies that are here in the Columbus area. So yeah, I mean, like definitely makes sense, like why you guys ended up or relocated to kind of, help with the expansion efforts, when you were going through that back in the 30s.
Well, you guys undertook a big project, creating a new campus and headquarters in the last few years. Actually, you guys, I think it was completed during COVID, if I'm correct.
Yes. So we were in that building for about 80 years. And then started acquiring over time some of the other land around it. So as an interesting anecdote, there were a couple people who moved from Wichita here to Columbus. There were some team members. And apparently, and if you know this area, it comes into some art that we've got on the campus as well. He went back and told everybody that he had found this nice building. There was a river that ran next to it. So everybody was kind of envisioning this idyllic little meadow kind of thing. And
right by the highway.
Right by the highway. Right by, the Olentangy, which at the time we didn't even really own the land. When he did it, we didn't own the land between our land and the river. We had eventually acquired it. So everybody got here, and it was a dirty tire plant. And so my grandfather's first job was scraping rubber soot off of windows in the back. All dirty. So, but it got us here to a central place. Like you guys said, it was easy to get to most of our operating markets, and it was a very different time back. And that's within the 1934 is when everybody moved into that old building, and then we slowly, as I said, acquired some of the other land and sold off the PSB part. So Porcelain Steel Buildings was still in that, and that was one of the first things that we did. Is we used to make spreaders. We made some of our own restaurant equipment, some equipment for other people, other companies, and did some powder coating. So at some point, porcelain coating metal and porcelain became very environmentally unfriendly back in the 60s or so. So we shifted over to do powder coating, like the sides of washers and dryers. And there were years where we made millions of dryer vent lids for Maytag and others. Which kept us in that building. Once we sold those pieces off, got all those team members that were working for us on other jobs, then we started thinking about what could we do with the rest of the site to make better use of it, diversify a little bit, and that's when we started building our building, which we moved into the end of 2019. So like 3 months before COVID, and then slowly finished the rest of it through COVID.
Yeah, and he must have had some foresight, because Columbus is now one of the fastest growing metropolises in the country. There's so much opportunity here. Many businesses are coming to Columbus to put their headquarters here. So
it sounds like the story to me also sounds like we talk a lot like about investment on the podcast as well. So design and investment and other things. But like the story sounds like an investor's like dream too, where it's like he found this property that, like you said, it may not have been the most beautiful thing, but the deal probably was like too good to pass up. So he's like, great, let's go, or let's make the investment. Because you said he was in real estate originally too. So yeah, it sounds like a terrific story, like everything worked out perfectly.
Oh yeah. I think it did. Like I said, I never met him, but I heard he was very frugal, and he was he was a kind of a true entrepreneur. From what I've read and seen some of the other things that he's done, I think he did have some foresight, and even the way he crafted White Castle. There's some writing that we have of his that talks about not of engaging the heart and heads and hands versus the time, which was you come, you do work, and you leave. I don't care if you like it. You're another cog in the machine. He was all about, you can only expect loyalty from people to whom you're loyal, and really wanting to make sure everybody understood the value of what customer service really was. He was as much a marketer, I think, as a real estate guy.
I love that. Well, the new campus is quite the showstopper. It's a gorgeous group of buildings, and you had a lot to do with that. Do you mind telling us a little bit about your background, what led you to get to this point, and tell us your role in that?
Oh, sure. So my role in all of that primarily was our home office. So being chief people officer, we really, I met with Lisa, our president and CEO, and we really talked about what we wanted to, what we liked about the old building, what we didn't like, and what we wanted our new future world headquarters to look like. Um, so it was primarily that, but we also were able to do a lot to make sure the family, it's subtle, but the family vision of what we want. We're still family owned. We've got fifth generation. We've actually had our first of our sixth generation born a couple months ago. Um, our goal is to be a family owned company for generations to come. So standing on the shoulders of those that came before us and setting things up for the future. We really wanted this to be a place that was still special to the family. So there's some influences throughout the rest of the campus, but primarily the biggest piece for us is our headquarters. So we wanted something that looked nice, represented the future of the company, had some of those things that would say castle. Our tower, our tower there in the center. Actually, if you look at that from the top, um, it is the shape of our logo. So that kind of diamond, the pentagon shape. That the top of that has some pieces that make it look like they make it look like that logo. So we definitely wanted some pieces in there that didn't scream like castle, but were there in a kind of a subtle nod inside and out. So
Very cool. Yeah, actually, Danny, we'll put a link in the show notes so that our viewers can actually look and see a picture of the campus as well.
But it's you mentioned office, but I mean, like it's much more than just like it's a whole complex, like live, work, play. Basically like 20 acres of space that was developed on the site. Is that correct? It's a fairly substantial area. Like you said, over time you guys acquired property, but it's not like just a single site in the city.
right, we like you said, it did turn out to be 20 acres. We did intentionally go through that kind of live, work, play. It's kind of different now that we've gone through COVID because those were all things that we were doing in 2014 and some of those plans that we were making. But we definitely wanted that area where we've got obviously the apartments over there, a second office building. There is space for a third building on that grassy land out there that runs along Goodale. That we're just being very intentional about what we want to put there and find the right the right people to be in it and the right whether it's going to be office building or other things, but to have the home office here. And we always knew that we wanted some other kind of space, which is where the Fives comes in. So it's
Right.
part of our building and that event center, which has been very proven but very popular. There seems like there's events. My desk and on the third floor actually looks out the window onto the terrace of that. So there's several weddings or activities out there every week. That's a great view of downtown Columbus,
Yeah.
skyline, close to downtown, but we've got parking and some other things that make it all a nice package. I think for people looking to have an event, people looking to live, people looking to work in some of our other office buildings.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. The views are spectacular. And this I kind of get of Google. I worked at Google before I went on my own and started our firm, and I'm getting a lot of these really thoughtful vibes of indoor outdoor spaces, these terraces leading to other outdoor spaces, and kind of some anticipation of this really fun modern architecture. And around the corner is another great view of the skyline. You also have a slide, don't you, in the common space?
inside in our lobby, which we call Craver Hall. So we wanted to be very intentional about, even in our old building, we'd have people that would come by a couple times, a month, maybe three or so, a quarter, even just stopping in, not calling anybody, but saying, hey, we're from Wichita, we're from another city, we love White Castle, my grandfather used to take me there, whatever stories and um, that we would get. And people would say, can we just get a tour? So we definitely wanted, our old lobby was very small, and probably when it was built back in the 30s when they remodeled it, it was very appropriate for the culture that White Castle had at the time, but our culture had evolved over those 80 years, and we definitely wanted something that, the culture we're trying to build, and we wanted that to be able to come alive. So we wanted something fun in Craver Hall. It's very striking. It's one of the first things you see when you come in our front door. We call it our slider for a variety of reasons, but the big thing and the big reason we chose that was in our frozen hamburger plants. After the sliders are packaged up in the little 2-packs, they go through a spiral freezer. So they end up in the ceiling. The fastest way to get them out and back down onto a packaging floor is a White Castle slider side. It's about, I don't know, I think it's about 2 feet or so. They just come down that slide and come right out on a conveyor belt. And there's one plant that we have in Louisville that they're actually packaged, put in boxes up in mezzanines and come down that slide. And we've got a video here that when people come in and want tours, we could show them those. But we wanted something fun, and we wanted a human-sized slider. So from the second floor to the third floor, there's a stainless steel slide that, as I remember, took 17 different shop drawings to get it to where we wanted it. The company out in Portland that created it and get it installed. So we're very proud of that. That's one of our showpieces.
And you guys are also LEED certified. I believe it's a gold rating.
Yes, we worked very hard. That was another thing that we felt was important when we have done other internal surveys over the years. Sustainability ranks very, very highly as one of the values of our team members. So we've done a couple of things in this building where we have reusable dishware and other things. So we still have a little bit of our iconic core packaging, but we do use that. The coffee cups are real ceramic and glassware and other things. But always, even in our regions, we've been a company that's wanted to make sure that we're giving back. That's why we never really ever used styrofoam. Over the years, we've always used the cardboard for our packaging. We absolutely have something where we have two of our own bakeries, where we bake our own buns, and those buns are shipped in reusable cardboard. We get about 8 to 10 uses out of each cardboard because we've got our own internal. We can send them back to our bakeries, and 4 sheets of buns come in cardboard that gets used many times. So it's been a core value in the company for a while.
That's great. Yeah, I as a designer, we want to do all these amazing things to make footprints more sustainable, and ultimately a zero carbon footprint. It's a tough decision for some owners and developers because of the expense.
It's a tough sell, just because, I mean, again, like a lot of time people are looking at the spreadsheet of numbers, and a lot of times it's a little bit pricier to go that route, so people don't necessarily pursue it,
Right. Some of the flooring, some of the, you guys know better than we do. I'm trying to remember some of the things, the paint that we used and some of the fixtures and other things. And, they're slightly more expensive because they're more sustainable. But we definitely wanted to make sure it was a healthy place to work.
Yeah.
And healthy for the, the overall community and environment.
Yeah, the materials don't off gas, as much when it's new and you install it, so it's low VOC. And yeah, like your materials might be made from recycled materials or locally sourced versus like shipped in from a certain distance. So yeah, it's, I mean, like we talked, it's challenging just to usually get somebody on board because yeah, there's extra cost to do all that stuff a certain way.
Yeah.
So
I definitely appreciate the onus on also a healthy space for your workforce and for clients, and even just there's a housing crisis in the country, right, all over. So Columbus especially needs more housing. So I like that you're having these housing projects associated with it. You even have a new restaurant that I think it just opened in October. Am I correct?
You're correct. Yes, that's our replacement restaurant out on Allen Creek over on the Allen Creek Road on the east side. We intentionally work with a couple of firms to try and figure out what can we do to help one serve our customers, into the future. So we've obviously evolved over 105 years of how we have built restaurants, but with delivery becoming more a bigger piece, figuring out how best to deliver our sliders to people who are coming and picking up, a third-party delivery company that's coming to pick up to take somebody else, our own customers who may order ahead and come and pick up, our customers who show up on the site and want to go through the drive-thru or come in. We wanted an inviting place on the inside that looked a little bit more modern, still has a lot of nods back to some of our historical pieces. And the other big thing that we have in that one is we expanded our team member area, because we recognize that, our team members need to have a space. A lot of times you'll see it and my very, very, very first job was off of our farm was at a Long John Silver's in Mount Vernon, Ohio, and we had to go out and sit in the front room with everybody else. So it's not really as much of a break. So we've got a nice place where team members can charge their electronics. We've got some pieces back there where they can continue to learn about the company and be able to go through some of their required training in a more comfortable space than what typically might be in a fast food restaurant. And there's some sustainability pieces in there as well. And really, we looked at the ergonomics of what our team members do every day to serve our customers, and what are some of the things we can do to minimize the amount of time and somebody has to work away from a station or we'll walk around to get different components of our sliders.
Yeah, it's like a key principle of architectural design, right? Form follows function. I'm sure Nick has heard that before, but yeah, it sounds like you guys really focused on the operational problems that you were facing, and that's kind of what drove your new prototype, essentially.
Yes.
Yeah, and you guys call this the Castle of Tomorrow, correct?
That's what we've been calling it internally. I think it does show up in some of the stuff that we've shared, but it is we designed this being our first one. As we expand, we'll be looking at and figuring out, is this did it achieve the goals that we wanted to achieve? It's also got our flippy robot, so the robot, we've got several of those around our system, but it's got the newest version of that for the fryer. Julia, our AI powered drive-through experience. So we've got everything in there that we've been looking at. Now we're taking some time to figure out, did it meet the goals, and what pieces are of that, the layout and everything else we've got in there will start showing up in some of our newer castles and other cities.
Yeah, I'm also curious too, was the footprint a little bit smaller in general with again with like some of these outside orders coming in where it's not necessarily a customer coming in, but it's like a third party coming in to pick up an order? Did the overall footprint of the restaurant shrink as well?
The overall footprint did shrink a little bit. Part of it we were able to do because we reconfigured some of the interior spaces. The front room, that's one place where, depending on what we think a community might need, we can expand the size of that. This one happens to be rather small. About 70 to 80% of our sales go through a drive-through anyway. So we want to have something that is inviting for those customers who come in, and maybe you want to sit down, or have their they got their kids or something with them. But then and then the actual percentage can vary depending on the city and some others, but another fairly significant portion goes through delivery. So this one has that special vestibule that you can just pull up, get the order right out of it without having to wait in the drive-through line or fill that up and kind of separate those things out. So we repurposed some of the space, but the footprint did shrink. Yes.
Yeah, I haven't been there, but I did read something about instead of having a drive-through window, it's more of like a step out where these doors open, and even though you have the AI, you also get a little more human interaction with you getting handed your food. It's a little bit more personal. I don't know if you can speak to that at all, but I found that interesting.
Yeah, that was another intentional piece that we did, knowing that the automated ordering can at sometimes feel a little less personal. It took that job away. For me, and I started out working and getting trained in some restaurants. The most stressful job inside a restaurant to me is that drive-through. They have to take the order. They have to make sure the order is going out properly, and they have to collect the payment. So years ago, when it was a lot more cash, that was you're trying to count out all of that stuff. By the Julia, our automated ordering system, she can take the order. It shows up. They're there if there seems to be a challenge, because believe it or not, people in our cities, sometimes they'll use slang terms. We taught the model slider, hamburger, cheese slider with cheese, all those different things to try and make sure that it gets it right.
Yeah.
But you can tell when you're giving somebody an order and you're standing there looking face to face, or at least talking to them, you can tell whether they really got it. AI doesn't always get that right. But when you pull up, we like to think it's a nice added touch that, number one, the team member can come right out to your car, get your payment, get your food. If there happens to be, because we do have people that will pull right up and ask for 30, which we usually, depending on the time, can get pretty quickly. But it also allows that team member to go and offer some service to maybe the second car in line. Maybe take their order payment. If their order is a little bit smaller, deliver that without having to pull customers forward the way some of our other colleagues in the industry do. Where you're kind of wondering, my order's not ready, so they pull. And we do have these and others, a space that you go up and pull up to, and then they bring the order out to you. It's trying to solve a little bit for that as well, so you don't feel like you're lost.
I think, Nick, we're gonna have to take a field trip. So I've had some experience with some of the other, some of your competitors and their AI ordering systems, because it seems like it's becoming more and more prevalent, in the industry, or in your industry specifically. But yeah, I didn't realize that you guys also had the AI assistant there. So I'm kind of curious to go and try it and see how it does. I'll have to think of some slang terms and see how it does and throw it at it.
I would imagine that, you're always going to have your learning curve here, and it's only going to get better. We'll have to have some fun with it. But overall, John, how has it been successful? Are we going in a positive direction with that?
We feel that we are. It really does help get our customers their orders a little bit more quickly. I'm trying to remember exactly how many of those we have throughout our 350 restaurants, but they're around. There's some in most of our cities. We have a couple. I think this is Columbus's second one. I think Hilliard Rome Road also has Julia. But it does. It takes a little bit of getting used to. Our team members and our customers, at first, as you can imagine, might get a little frustrated if it's not getting things right. But we are able to measure, and it is she. I guess I should call her she. We named her Julia after a very early person that we had in basically our marketing department. So there was a woman named Ella Louise who Billy hired and renamed her Julia Joyce. And she was a person that went out and talked to women's groups, talked about how healthy our food was. And if you look on, the internet or, eBay or sometimes there's like bridge pads and all kinds of other things, but she'd give tours. So she was kind of our first kind of hospitality slash little bit of marketing and PR. So that's why we named her Julia after her.
I love that.
Yeah. But it takes that. There's a little bit, like you said, there's a little bit of a learning curve, but she's doing. We can track her accuracy on how many times we have to interrupt or how many times the customer says I need help, and it just kicks right over to our team member.
Sure. Well, I know AI, and we're not going to dive down this rabbit hole, but it's certainly enhancing a lot of what we do. I don't think it's necessarily replacing us. With that said, you got a big facility at your headquarters. I'm just curious, how many employees do you have here in Columbus working there?
We have just under 200 in this building. Some of them are remote. We've got some sales force for our frozen food that report into the building, but they live in their territories. But just under 200.
Yeah,
that's great.
And then I know we talked about a couple of the things at the headquarters as well, like the slide. Don't you guys also have a test kitchen for some of like the development research that's done as well? That's at the headquarters.
Yes, we do. That is correct. We have a test kitchen that we really looked again to the future. It's got all of the equipment in there is movable, so we can reconfigure it. So one of the things that we did for the council out on Alum Creek, we actually brought the equipment in. It's a little bit different layout than what we had been building in the past. We were able to do an early layout of the equipment, make sure that at least it made sense to some of our operations leadership before we actually just built all of it and ordered a bunch of equipment for that restaurant. But it also has some extra equipment in it, so as we look to the future at different products, different sliders, whether they're limited time only offerings, we can reconfigure that kitchen to make just about anything. Hook up any new piece of equipment that might be developed in the future, as well as, for instance, we have both a gas home oven and an electric home oven. So as we create new products for our retail that are sold in the grocery stores, and we can, make sure that we understand, whether you're reheating our sliders in or products in a air fryer, a toaster, an oven, a gas oven, we can make sure that we understand what we're creating and how we can prepare it.
You're still going to get a good end result.
Yeah, and yes. A lot of times in architecture and design, it's like, you just think of this stuff in your head, and you have some designer working on it on paper. It's not necessarily a full life size like mock up, which essentially is what this test kitchen sounds like. I mean, certain industries like healthcare, like they really value like having a full scale mock up of stuff, like to test things out and move equipment around and stuff like that. So yeah, like I think this is the first time I've ever heard of like a test kitchen inside of like a headquarters for, like a food producing place where it's like they're, thinking about all these things, again, operationally focused. So yeah, it definitely sounds like a fascinating place to kind of play around in.
I know a lot of people do it with third party, but I think it's really interesting you have it at your new headquarters and everyone gets it. Yeah. And you can pull anyone into that to experience it. I think that's smart.
Yeah.
Right. We can pull anybody in. And honestly, one of my teams, as we're creating new, as the company is rolling out something new, a new slider or a new build for a slider, new side items. We've got 350 restaurants that all have to have that. So there's electronic training. So my training team can come down, be in an environment that looks very close to what the kitchen is, that our team members will see, and create all of the training materials without having to, haul a bunch of stuff out to a local restaurant. So it's a little bit more controlled environment, but still isn't a conference room, which is a long time ago. That's what we used to do. So
Yeah.
a lot of use.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk a little about Columbus. I moved here 8 years ago. I grew up in Cleveland, lived all over the place in New York City for about a decade, and Columbus is home now. Um, can you tell us a little bit about, like, obviously you're planning to stay. You just built this headquarters. You're looking at developing that additional site on the property. Um, what what is kind of the future for you? Not just here in Columbus, but for everywhere. What does that look like for you guys?
Yeah, for White Castle, looking out into the future, we are definitely we're still growing. We're still looking for new potential cities to grow into, mostly in the south. So we've got a couple of restaurants that sites, and I think one's under construction. Additionally, in Florida, so expansion in Florida. Expansion, we've announced, I think we announced, or I'm accidentally doing it now, a place in Texas. So we're going into Texas, and
I was gonna say
and then Arizona.
we can cut that part out if we need to. So just let us know.
Okay, I'll let you know. And
Yeah.
I think we sent out a press release on it, but yeah. So we're continuing to look at new markets, filling in certain markets because some of the cities, as you guys know better than I, the a market changes. Columbus, where people are growing, where people are moving to, what areas are dropping, always changes. So we always keep an eye on that. We like the markets that we're in and continue to want to support those. And then a little bit, we're always looking at it's very, very competitive for our retail items in that section of the grocery store, the frozen section. So we've experimented over time, and I think we could probably see a future where we are one of the biggest ones that we've done recently in the frozen food section is that we've got our chicken rings, which is something we've had since it's our version of a chicken nugget. It's a whole piece of meat. Expanded that into the frozen section where they air fry really, really well. So other ways to meet the needs of our cravers, whether it's in a restaurant or something they can bring home from the grocery store. So we'll continue working on that. We're still pretty future focused as far as probably not. I had a friend who used to say something about technology, not cutting edge, but maybe close to it, just behind, cutting edge, or not quite bleeding edge, I guess, on, what other things that can we do? Because we are still family owned. We want to remain family owned. So, we've got to be focused on what we choose to do.
Yeah, and that's apparent that you guys aren't obviously not scared of technology. Just looking at your headquarters, it's a beautiful campus again. So, I was curious. I forgot to ask this earlier. The apartments that are on the campus, can anybody rent? They're luxury apartments, right?
Yes, yes. Anybody can rent it. Yes, there's from what I hear, there's almost always a waiting list to get in. So they're pretty highly occupied. But it's a little bit about that. I mean, it was definitely something. So that partnership that we had with Elford, and building our building and expanding the use and getting a lot more value out of our site here, was a key part of that. So yeah, those are just anybody can rent those apartments. I think we have one or two team members. We have a younger team member. He's the son of one of our people in part of our technology group that I noticed the other day was walking. So I think we have a team member that lives over there.
So 30-second commute, and
Yeah.
he doesn't.
I'm at Grandview, and I thought my 6-minute commute down here was pretty good, but then I saw him walking over.
Yeah. Well, and again, it's that investment mindset, right? Like, how do you get more value out of your development? So, yeah, I think it's a wonderful thing. You know, a lot of people just think, oh, I'm going to build a corporate headquarters, and that's it. You know, you guys obviously thought outside of the box a little bit. So,
and that kind of hits home for Paul and myself, because we're looking for a building to purchase, and I want something with a little bit of land that we can develop later. So I the whole story, I'm not patient enough to wait 80 years to do it, but I do think that it worked out very well for you guys, and love it. So this has been fun.
Yeah, it's been great. We call it, we fulfilled Billy's potential vision from the 1930s when he first saw this, and the site is flourishing. And we would have a piece, I'd mentioned earlier, we have a piece of art. There's a screen that kind of blocks along one of the roads, that when we talked to some artists and told them a little bit about the story, she came back with this idea of our site has been cocooned for 80 years. And there's these really, this butterfly screen that's a piece of public art running along one of the roads that's, like the site, like a butterfly, has now flourished and bloomed. So it's nice.
No, as designers, that's what we think about. This is what we dream about. And with that said, since you mentioned tours before, I don't, from what I understand, there's not an organized tour of your campus, but a lot of our listeners are designers. Do you offer any type of? Is there a way we can see this building up close?
Yeah, or the lobby in general is accessible to the public, right? At least at the very least. And then, is there any kind of tours like Nick is asking?
One of my sisters and I, we always talk about that. We'll give tours every once in a while. We still do get that. So people will come in. If you want to schedule something, definitely. I think you guys have my email address, or you can call in. But yes, we'll give tours. We can take you up to our 5th floor, where we've got an outside terrace that looks out over the skyline, and some other kind of, I would guess I would call kind of hidden gems inside the building of things that we've done to pay homage to our past, and the site. So we usually are the ones that give those tours. So anytime anybody wants, they can come in, or we can arrange something if there's a group of people that want to do one in an afternoon.
I love that. I might take you up on that, actually.
I was gonna suggest, if you guys want to, because you guys in Grandview as well.
Yeah,
Nick's in the downtown area.
That on your site.
Yeah, we're not.
We're not
at all.
Yeah.
So
I also wanted to ask too. So like pop culture, obviously I think it was like 20 years ago. There was the Hollywood movie. Did you guys have any input into that, or were you just like, when it came out, you're like, oh, that features a trip to White Castle? Do you know what I'm talking about? The Harold and Kumar?
The Harold and Kumar.
Yeah.
Yes. There's a couple of good stories. So the two writers had written that, and my brother-in-law, who's our vice president of marketing, New Line, I think it was New Line, sent the script in. So we got an early read of the script, and they said, we really want to make this, but it's rated R. It was a little bit different than things that we had done in the past, and we went to, my cousin Lisa and I, we all went to Bill Ingram was our president and CEO, my uncle, and said, we really think we want to do this. This is like a 90-minute commercial for White Castle. And they had told Jamie that if we don't do it, we're not making it about anybody else. We're not making it about some fictional restaurant or something else. We really want it to be, they're from New Jersey, and they really wanted to be about White Castle. And Bill's big question was, do they make fun of the team members? And they said, actually, no, they're kind of the heroes of the whole thing at the end of the movie. because we had said, there's some, as we put it, there's some sex, drugs, and rock and roll in that is a little bit different than, especially for 20. It was 2004 when it came out.
Right. Yeah.
So we said, I don't care about the other stuff as long as they're not making fun of our team members, or the brand, and they clearly weren't. So it's it was fun. We got to do some fun things with that. There was one little, a couple little things that Jamie said. It might read better if you did this, but largely the script was what they did. We helped with some of the interior. We sent them some booths and some other things, and gave them obviously some access to our restaurant to be able to film some of that. But it was a lot of fun. It was a fun time, and it was fun. I was walking through a convenience store, like at Speedway or something, down on Old Tangy River Road after that thing came out, and I heard a bunch of I'm like about 10 or 20 years older than you guys, so they were just they were high school, college age, walking through, pretending that they were, when the hoodlums went through the convenience store and started trashing it and yelling stuff. I could hear them. I'm like, I know exactly what movie they're quoting. This is really cool. They were having fun with it.
Yeah. Well, you guys.
So it was.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe there's a sequel in the future with the new White Castle prototypes that are coming out as well. So
they can have fun with the AI.
Yeah,
that'd be a good scene.
Yeah,
yes, they could. There's actually there are two other ones, and one of my other cousins, who is our chief manufacturing officer, he made a cameo in the third one, I think. Like he was working in a drive-through or something like that. So he was he was an undercover boss. That was another time that we had some fun with.
Very cool.
Hollywood. For the first season, and now it turned into a lot. That was very different, but we liked participating in that as well. So.
Yeah. Cool. I'm glad I asked.
Yeah. There's all kinds of pop culture. I mean, we've been mentioning the Beastie Boys songs and a variety of other things, and earlier movies than that. But
yeah, when you're around for generations, you pop up.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, this has been so much fun, John. Do you want to, if someone wants to learn more about campus, White Castle, all the different food options you have, where can they find you guys?
It's a different it's a different one, but we have something called WC Auction at whitecastle.com. So there's an email that goes to several of us. So it's WCAUCTION at whitecastle.com. That is a email address that people can use if they're interested in a tour as well. Send that, and that goes to me and my sister, and I think our facilities leader. So, and we watch that all the time. So if anybody's interested in meeting up, they can use that and request something in the future.
That's amazing. Really appreciate that.
Yeah. And we're thrilled to have you on. It was a great conversation. Yeah, I mean, Nick and I think need to schedule a tour. Maybe we'll come in the summer though, so we can enjoy the terrace a little bit more instead of the winter.
Yeah. It is covered with snow right now. But yeah, I've had a great time. I love talking about the history of the company. Obviously, there's a lot of ties to my past, my familial past, as well as everything else. So it's a great company to work for. It's a great company to represent. So it's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Thanks so much, John. We really appreciate having you. And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
This has been the ArcFluence Podcast. As always, you can get more information and additional content on arcfluence.com. Please subscribe on the platform of your choice and leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you.